Strong Pokemon, weak Pokemon. That is only the selfish perception of people. Truly skilled trainers should try to win with Mime Jr.
Dear God.
There's more.
No.
Let's face it guys, in reality, Pokemon isn't like the anime. You can't just believe in the heart of the cards and have your Bakugan be powerful enough to split the Red Sea or whatever happens in the show. I don't know, I haven't seen much of the show. I kinda tuned out after Pikachu beat Onix with an electric move just cause the sprinkler system turned on. Sorry dork, Soak wasn't in the games until Generation 5. Checkmate gamers. I can't believe that my low tier favorite could defy the odds and become strong enough to compete with the likes of Landorus, Urshifu, and the Fake Out Brothers. Or can I? Yeah, dreams actually do come true, at least for the Pokemon we're going to discuss today, because I want to talk about low-tier Pokemon that somehow became actual threats in competition. Sometimes it's because of a buff, or maybe someone just found the right role for them on a team, or maybe the metagame was just right for them to actually finally work. Either way, they finally saw some usage. Let's just get right into it. If you guys enjoy, leave a like, subscribe, check out the Patreon, become a YouTube channel member, hype the video, all of that. And hey, you definitely want to subscribe because at 300,000 subscribers, I'll be ranking every bench in Lumio City. Let's just begin. Beginning with the poster child of bad Pokemon, we need to discuss Regigigas' short stint as a top tier Pokemon in VGC. While today, in Generation 9, Regigigas isn't seen super often, in Generation 8, Regigigas was finally at the top of its game. Typically, Pokemon players would avoid using Regigigas like the plague due to its ability Slow Start, an ability which takes Regigigas' incredible stats and cuts the attack and speed in half for the first 5 turns it's active in the battle. And the attack being cut in half doesn't mean its 160 base attack becomes 80, no, it's far worse because the actual stat is cut in half. Regigigas becomes roughly about as powerful of a physical attacker as Patrat, a Pokemon with just 55 base attack. That's pretty pathetic. And when you realize that Regigigas' slow start timer resets every single time it switches out of battle, you start to see why Pokemon players wouldn't touch this thing with a 10-foot pole. So what caused Regigigas to become top tier in Gen 8 VGC? What made him finally throw out that job application? Well, this would be the newly buffed Pokemon Weezing, a Gen 1 Pokemon who had a mostly unnotable career until it got the new ability of neutralizing gas. This ability simply turns off all other abilities with a few notable exceptions. Turning off partner Regigigas' slow start meant that Regigigas could hold a life orb and deal massive damage off of its max moves. The most powerful one of these was Max Strike off of the move Kick It Impact, an attack so powerful that it could threaten to one-shot any Pokemon which didn't resist it. And typically, a physical attacker this powerful could be dealt with by using Intimidate from Pokemon like Incineroar or just burning it with Will-O-Wisp. But neutralizing gas meant that Intimidate couldn't activate as long as Weezing was on the field, and Max Strike lowering all opponents' speed stats meant that Weezing would be able to outspeed and taunt to stop opposing Pokemon from burning Regigigas or setting up Reflect. This combo was super common in some Generation 8 VGC formats, and even went as far as to get second place in a Players' Cup tournament. It just goes to show that even seemingly useless Pokemon can sometimes find the right format where they shine. This channel is partnered with Gamersupps. If you want to support my work and get great tasting drinks, you can order Gamersupps through my link in the description down below or with code Moxie boosted at checkout for 10% off. Gamersupps is a caffeinated product that I recommend only to my 18+ viewers, but my link will send you to their caffeine-free product section just in case. Every product purchased through my link supports my channel financially, so I'd really appreciate the support. Now back to the video. Ditto is a Pokemon which people rightfully call a gimmick. I mean, most of the time, Ditto isn't even its own Pokemon. All it wants to do is transform into other Pokemon and play as them. He's like Baby No Money, he just keeps kind of shapeshifting. When Ditto uses Transform, it completely turns into the target Pokemon, copying its typing, abilities, stats, stat changes, and moves. The only thing not copied by Ditto are the opponent's HP and held item, as that would just be ridiculous. Ditto's horrendous stats obviously don't matter much, as its ability Imposter causes it to instantly transform into the Pokemon across the field from it, with its HP being the only exception, as Ditto will almost always be a far frailer version of the target. But since Ditto is basically never actually Ditto, why would competitive players not use it? Well, it really just comes down to the fact that you never know what Pokemon you're going to face in a match, so why roll the dice copying other Pokemon when you could just bring those Pokemon yourself? It just makes Ditto a really strange choice in most situations and a bit riskier of a pick than people are willing to go with. However, Ditto actually thrives in any format with restricted legendary Pokemon. Restricted Pokemon are a category of legendaries which get their moniker from the fact that players are restricted to just 1 or 2 of them per team, depending on the format. Ditto is used as a cheeky way to bypass this rule. Ditto is not a restricted Pokemon, but when you can guarantee that the opponent will likely have something like a Primal Groudon, Kyogre, Xerneas, or Zacian that Ditto can copy, it becomes really easy to justify running it on restricted format teams. Players will often use Focus Sash or Choice Scarf Ditto on their restricted format teams to copy the opposing trainer's restricted Pokemon. This can be especially devastating in an endgame situation where the opponent has some stat buffs but can be easily picked off thanks to them being chipped down, with Ditto famously being able to copy boosted Xerneases and even get an additional attack buff from Zacian's Intrepid Sword activating once Ditto has copied it. Ditto has basically seen no usage in non-restricted formats, but its usage spikes in every single restricted format, including VGC 2016, 2019, 2022, 2025 Reg G, and Reg I. It basically just wakes up, flexes on the format, and goes right back to bed for 2 years. It's kind of like Beerus from Dragon Ball. Okay, well, I'm sure most of the avid VGC players in my audience are familiar with Clefairy's power in VGC. It's nonetheless impressive how a not fully evolved Pokemon from Generation 1 manages to remain competitively relevant all these years later. Like, this thing has more in common with a Labubu than it does a Landorus. How is it still top tier, and why is Clefairy top tier but not Clefable? Well, it just comes down to the item Eviolite and the ability Friend Guard. Clefable may have most of Clefairy's tools and a solid special attack stat, but Clefairy has seen far more usage in doubles thanks to its ability Friend Guard, an ability which causes Clefairy's allies to take 3/4 the damage that they normally would, as long as Clefairy is active on the field. This substantial increase in bulk alongside tools like Follow Me, Helping Hand, Icy Wind, Encore, and tons of other useful tools has led to Clefairy being used as sort of a bodyguard for plenty of powerful Pokemon in the past. Today, it's most often seen next to Calyrex Shadow Rider, as Follow Me allows for Clefairy to redirect powerful attacks into itself, which it can easily tank thanks to the Eviolite granting it a 50% increase to its defensive stats. This allows for Calyrex to either set up Nasty Plot or just go for straight damage, and the tool which makes Clefairy especially dangerous is its low base 35 speed stat combined with the move After You, a move which allows Clefairy to grant another Pokemon to attack in its turn in the turn order. This means that even if Trick Room is active, Calyrex Shadow Rider is just as dangerous as long as Clefairy is next to it, as Clefairy can just let Calyrex go first. While this is just the most recent usage for Clefairy, it's had a long history in VGC going back as far as Eviolite has existed. It's just been shooting 3-pointers in VGC all this time. Jumpluff is actually a fairly recent development in VGC, all things considered, with it being a Pokemon that greatly benefited from two things being implemented into the games. The first of these is dynamic speed. See, back before Generation 8, if a Pokemon has anything change their speed stat, whether it be Tailwind, a direct stat change, or an item getting tricked onto them, the turn order would not be instantly updated. They would have to wait for the next turn to see things change. This is why back then, Protect plus Tailwind was a common set of moves to click on the same turn. You could safely set up your Tailwind and then use it to attack first on the next turn. But from Generation 8 onward, the turn order would immediately update, causing Tailwind to be a far more powerful move, especially in the hands of Pokemon like Tornadus or Whimsicott, who could use the ability Prankster to set up Tailwind with priority. Jumpluff's ability Chlorophyll doubles its speed as long as Sun is active, meaning that its already high base 110 speed stat allows for it to outpace basically everything in the game. It can pay it forward for partners by clicking the fastest non-priority Tailwind in the game, then threaten to click Sleep Powders or lock down Pokemon with Encore. It's always had access to these tools even before dynamic speed, but it just wasn't worth running for the longest time because as great of a support Pokemon as it was, it just didn't have the offensive stats to make progress in the game on its own. It needs a powerful Sun attacker next to it to be worth running. Ninetales might have Drought to set up Sun, but it doesn't quite hit hard enough in Generation 9. And Torkoal, as strong as its attacks can be, just isn't fast enough to take advantage of Tailwind. This is where that second addition to the games comes in to help Jumpluff out. The second thing that makes Jumpluff viable was the introduction of the item Eject Pack. This item causes the user to instantly switch out as soon as they have any of their stats reduced. This means they'll switch out immediately if Intimidate activates and can use moves that reduce their own stats like Draco Meteor or Overheat as pivoting moves. This item allows for players to lead off with Drought, Torkoal, and Jumpluff, then click Tailwind and click Overheat to score massive damage while replacing Torkoal with ultra powerful Sun attackers like Solar Power Charizard or Great Tusk. This new Sun archetype has led to Jumpluff seeing major success in VGC, with it winning the Portland Regional Championships and even the Latin American International Championships being piloted by the players Joe Ugarte and Marco Fierro respectively. Jumpluff has literally never been stronger in VGC than it has been in Generation 9, with it being the de facto face of Sun offense. Alright, I saved arguably the goofiest example for last in this video, but yes, Mime Jr has seen quote-unquote serious competitive play in a VGC format, specifically on Chansey Stall teams. Back in 2018, Chansey's stall teams were about as optimized as they would ever be, with Eviolite Chansey running Minimize next to Guard Split Shuckle or Carbink. This combination would not only make Chansey an absurdly bulky Pokemon that's difficult to try to KO, but it would also cause most moves targeted into Chansey to miss, since Minimize increases Chansey's evasiveness. Most people just couldn't take out the pink blob and win as soon as it got its setup off. Chansey would just slowly wear down the opponents with Seismic Toss and Toxic damage. There were only a few easy ways you could guarantee to KO Chansey, and one of them was the sole reason why Mime Jr. was ran. Perish Song is a move which causes all active Pokemon to faint after a 3-turn timer. Perish Song, however, is a sound-based move, meaning that the ability Soundproof would be able to shut down that option instantly. Mime Jr. has the ability Soundproof as well as access to the move Skill Swap, which would let Mime Jr. transfer its ability to Chansey and thus make Chansey immune to Perish Song. While Mr. Mime was usually the optimal pick for skill swapping Soundproof, since the Carbink variant of Chansey teams would set up Trick Room to ensure that Carbink and Chansey could set up at the top of the turn order, it was smarter to use Mime Jr. with a Focus Sash, as it could come in with its much lower speed stat compared to Mr. Mime and get the skill swap off before it could be taunted. Basically, it's slower, so on Trick Room teams, it's gonna do its job better. So yeah, Mime Jr. has been used in serious competitive settings. Were Chansey teams kind of a meme back then? Yes, but were they devastating in the right hands and able to make deep tournament runs if they got the right set of opponents? Oh yeah, definitely. Anyways, that was just a quick video talking about some Pokemon that are considered objectively bad that have seen serious competitive play. Let me know if any caught you by surprise in this video, or if I missed some super obvious ones that I could cover in a future video. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. It'd mean the world to me. If you want to support me further, you can check out my Patreon page or become a YouTube channel member by clicking the join button below the video. This gets you sneak peeks to future videos, bonus content, and access to my supporter-only Discord server where you can hang out and team build with other community members. You also see your name at the end of all my videos like all these lovely people. Special thanks to my most boosted supporters, Avatar67 and Club, for their generous pledges. Another way to support me is to check out all the videos on playlist on screen right now. I know you'll find something in there that you'll enjoy. And if you want to tune into my live streams, you can check them out on YouTube or Twitch at 6 p.m. CST Monday through Friday. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.